Good morning.
Good morning. How is everyone today? Whether it's morning or afternoon or evening when anybody's watching this.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
This is our inaugural Coffee with Kimberly.
The very first.
Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Okay, so my name is Jaime. And we'll do more introductions. This is our first. But I am one half of the design duo of J&K Lost in the Woods and knitting teacher at Knit Locally in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And this is our bestie. So
Yes.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited too.
And I'll let her introduce herself. But we, a while ago during pandemic, used to do sort of a Friday night live kind of thing.
Yes.
And we haven't done it in a really long time. And then I started.
We missed it.
We did.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, hey, listen, are you, now that I have my office, are you up for doing a little coffee with Kimberly? Will you come and hang out and we can just talk about knitting?
Because we do that all the time. And
anyway.
It's really fun to share it with everyone.
It is.
Because we're really excited, honestly, about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, she, of course, said yes.
Of course.
So this is the inaugural version of Coffee with Kimberly. We're going to try and do it weekly. We'll see.
Life does get in the way. I mean, we both
is.
have a senior in high school, so you know that's very exciting for us, really for them. But
so I'm excited that she said yes, and so now I get to share our conversations because we literally talk about knitting all the time.
Yes, and crocheting.
And crochet.
And I'm trying
dyeing and weaving.
Yes, all the
spinning.
fun stuff, felting.
So it'll all be covered. So if you come and hang out with us, it will all be covered in this forum.
And you don't even have to have coffee. You could have a cup of tea. You could have a glass of water. Whatever you like.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Wine in the evenings if that's your jam.
Or tequila if it's been a day with your senior. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Or not.
So, as Jaime said, my name is Kimberly, and Jaime really had gotten me down the rabbit hole of craziness. My mother was a huge knitter, and never taught me because I was not interested at all. And when I had my first kids, I was like crocheting, so I would take like a pattern for a bonnet and it would be a baby blanket for a twin size bed because of course cage and all that. I don't know if anybody could relate to that, but that was my forte. Then years pass and I have a kindergartner and Jamie's at the bus stop and she has a kindergartner and who has the same name as my middle name, spelled the same way. So of course, instant bond. And of course, coffee. So that's pretty much it. I like to say a novice knitter, although I've done a lot of things, but I still have to discuss everything with Jaime at least 10 times or it's not a project.
So I think that's a bestie thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a skill level. I think it's a bestie thing. I think we like to really discuss the heck out of stuff. But that's the creative process.
With passion.
Yes.
I mean, so much passion.
We have ideas.
And then we'll try on and FaceTime and what do you think about this? Oh my goodness, did you think about this? Maybe you should block it. Swatching, not in my wheelhouse at all. No, thank you.
Listen, when you watch my YouTubes and I give you instructions, I'm going to say swatch.
Yes.
I'm also going to fully admit, I don't swatch very often. I only have swatched once or twice in the last couple of years. And I was going to say projects, but that's a total lie.
Yeah.
Years. And the reason I swatched was because I was really unconvinced that yarn was going to work for that project. True. That ended up being true. But anyway, so I'm glad I swatched.
So it's always exciting. So we're very grateful that everybody's here with us.
Thank you for joining us.
Join our conversation. If you'd like to, you can add comments.
Yes.
And we'll try and give you all the information we have on what we're wearing, the yarn, what we're working on, different tips and tricks.
And if you want to see topics, like if you want to see us discuss stuff,
throw it in the comments.
Please.
We're here.
I think the other reason I am excited to do this is I have a passion to share my knowledge. I have made all of the mistakes, sometimes 2 or 3 times.
That's true. I've seen them.
We will at some point discuss the 4-boob sweater.
The 4-boob sweater is a winner. Classic.
We have so much content for you guys.
Yes.
But I need a platform to share. I want to share.
I think you explained it so well. I mean, because I was a new crocheter, really knitter all those years ago, and I still, when I want to make socks, I actually took Jamie's class. Like, how I'm like, sign me up. She's like, I can teach you. I'm like, no, I want to go to your class. I want to see how you teach, and I want to learn that way. Which it would have been fine over, of course, Koffee.
Which we do anyway.
Yes, we do that all the time, but it is very nice. I think you explain it to people that they understand, and it's very relatable.
Well,
so.
thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. What is your motto?
Just one stitch at a time. Literally one stitch at a time.
Every project, right?
And it's only yarn.
Yeah.
Like if you gotta frog it, although I'm not a huge proponent of frogging, so I'm like, how can we make it work?
Right.
Like if we're one stitch off, I like to just say we need to be zen about it, leave our type A at the door. And listen, if that's your jam, that's your jam. But I am not that way.
I have said on multiple times, Jamie, I'm going to throw this yarn in the garbage.
I'm like, no, I'll just put it in the closet.
No, we'll just leave it for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's fine.
And I'm like, I hate this yarn. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and none of my yarn has gone in the garbage, thankfully.
It has not, and we have rescued every single one of those projects.
We have, without ripping out.
Right.
So, in case anyone is wondering, I know burning question is, what kind of coffee are we having? Which, by the way, when we tell you, and if you try it, there is a warning that it is addictive.
It is. So, but here's my hope and goal.
Yes.
It becomes so addictive that we can find the ground. Because currently,
Yes.
I am only able to find the K-Cups
Yes.
in my local grocery store, and I really want the ground back.
Well, I ordered the ground from Amazon. Just
did you?
Note to self, you can get it from Amazon.
Okay, so normally in the off season, because we'll tell you, but in the off season it is expensive because it's sitting in somebody's warehouse and they've jacked up the price. So, do you want to tell the secret?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a huge Starbucks fan, Gold Club member from way in the back. Like, I even have the actual physical card with my name on it that's gold, which now I use the app, but I have the card, nostalgia. So, of course, Starbucks. And it is the maple pecan coffee, which sounds a little bizarre to me when I first did it. And we have French vanilla creamer.
Which just elevates it.
It's like a dessert, y'all. Yeah. It's so good.
So French vanilla creamer. Yes. Okay, so in a former life, I was a chef.
Yes. She still is a chef. She just doesn't get paid for it now. Yeah.
So, but I've started making my own creamer. So at some point I'll share that with you. And anyway,
she also makes cinnamon rolls.
Oh, we're gonna have to do that on. Okay, we'll have to share that with you guys one time.
Towards the holidays, the cinnamon rolls are to die for.
They're pretty decadent.
It's my Christmas gift. I love it. Christmas morning. I mean, we live very close to each other.
We do.
So that's a bonus. And
close enough that I can walk over with a pan. So yeah.
I'm sorry for everyone that doesn't live next to us, but you will share your tips and tricks for cinnamon rolls because
maybe
you guys.
We'll make them online.
Yes,
we'll just have like a little let's do it. Yeah, we can do that. Why not?
So
I'm so excited for this.
This is so fun. Let's talk about knitting. I mean, and crocheting. Today is not really a crochet day, but wait for it. Next time we'll bring some crochet. So let's talk knitting.
Can you see? Oh, you can see over my shoulder.
It has that blanket.
You can see this blanket here. Boop.
Who makes that blanket?
That is a crochet along from like.
Is it the Universe or something?
No, that one is Lily Pond. And it is probably 8 or 9 years old.
Because I was going to say, I think Atlanticus was 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
We did that, and this was before
So Lily Pond's got to be like 8 years old. So you know what? We will bring crochet into the conversation. I'll tell you all about it. And yeah, but that's Lily Pond. You can probably still find it. It was a free pattern.
So let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about what we're wearing.
So I am wearing the ELFE, which I think is Elf or Elfie. I'm not sure. You're going to ask me who it's by. I'm not going to be able to tell you.
But on Ravelry, you'll be able to see.
It's ELFE.
Yes.
And this is the, can I stand up and show you? I'll stand up and show you. It's the long version. So if you guys have been following me on my Insta or TikTok, hopefully you have. Please follow, please like, please comment,
subscribe.
Blah. You'll see I had the red one on.
Yes.
And this one is just the longer version with short sleeves. So anyway,
It's a balmy 66 here right now.
Whoa.
It's going to go to 80. But
I need winter so bad. Anyway.
I know.
But as you can see, we wear knits. So I cannot wear this level of knit. But we wear knits. I wear wool all year round. So we'll talk about that in subsequent.
Because it's antimicrobial.
It is. Well, it breathes better.
Yes.
Wicks away moisture. You'll hear my TED talk later.
Well, yours is fingering and mine is DK.
fingering. Yeah, which.
So now, what yarn did you use?
This is less traveled yarn, which unfortunately she's no longer dyeing. I have a hoarded collection. I think next time we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about our fun
hoarded
hoards.
collections of yarn,
because of
which
course
you cannot see on camera, and
there's quite a bit.
May show us next time.
Maybe not.
So which one are you wearing now?
You guys. So what I am wearing is, I have to say, I have two all-time favorite dyers that I would just die for. The first is Round Mountain Fibers.
Yes.
Monica does combinations that I have never ever seen. Like,
I concur.
amazing. And her black is a true black.
It is a true black, which is
It's a
hard
true
to
black.
get. Yeah.
And also, Round Mountain Fibers is still available.
Yes.
Which is
That's
a
another
very
big
nice
one.
thing.
Yes.
Makes excellent socks. However, I also had, and on my bucket list was to go to Countess of Blaze in Manchester. And unfortunately for me, but happily for her, she has retired and is no longer dyeing yarn. So you can no longer get Countess of Blaze yarn. And I'm telling you what an amazing person she was. And her business model, her practices, her quality of her things. So she would dye rebel batches, and that would be something that was unrepeatable.
Yeah.
This, however, was not a rebel batch. This is her DK, and it was called Frankenstein. And she dyed this in, I believe, a group of 10, and I bought 8. So I was like, yes, all the yeses. So I actually only used 4 skeins for this, and I gave 4 skeins to my niece Amelia, who is still deciding what to do with hers. I finished this about a year ago. So this is the Pain sweater, and I have added some little ruffle to the sleeves because I wanted something fun with this, but this is like one of my favorite sweaters. And I also did yarn overs instead of make one left, make one right, which I just learned how to do because I'm making the Koffee sweater, the mohair sweater. So anyone who has Countess of Blaze yarn, we're going to talk next time. I have a lot, definitely. When she was retiring, there was quite big purchases.
We are not those knitters who are like, oh, and listen, if you are that knitter, bless you, because
Absolutely.
I'm just not.
And it's also what your budget allows.
Correct,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I work at a yarn store.
Yes.
So that affords me a completely different level of hoarding.
Yes.
Acquisition, we'd like to say.
Yes.
But
because you're curating your collection.
I'm curating my collection. I also design, so I like to talk.
She's an amazing designer. I can't wait to show some of
I
this
am
stuff.
excited, but I do like to have stuff on hand in case I need it. But I will say, we are not the knitters who are like, I only
got one skein
or buy for a project. Which, if you ever watch Very Pink Knits, she doesn't have a stash, and she's an incredible knitter. Very brilliant. I love her. I recommend her 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. But she doesn't have a stash, and so I think there's nothing wrong with it. I just like to collect yarn, and then I also use it. So.
And if you have friends who like to collect yarn, you can say, fun. This is what I'm doing, and Jimmy will go, oh wait, I have this. And she was also a big fan of Countess of Blaze, so I'll say, you know that collection, that monthly box we did, do you have another skein of this? And oh yes, okay. But that's really for next week, so we'll put that aside right now. So let's talk about the amazing thing that you have just completed.
Okay, so I am also a person who finds inspiration in. So
I think you're evolving.
I think I'm evolving, but I find inspiration in really unlikely places.
Yes.
Right? I don't care what's fashionable. I don't care. I don't look at the latest.
You have your own sense of style.
Oh, I do.
And things like you might say, why would you wear wool overalls, Jamie?
Well, because they're super comfy.
People wear them.
I will.
She loves them.
I do. And I think you'll see through the two of us. But can I say again how super excited I am to do this? Because we have done this on walks, on phone calls, coffee at the house for years, and to be able to just throw it out into the universe, and if you find some enjoyment in it, awesome.
We hope it brings a smile to your face,
so.
or you say those girls are crazy, whatever you say.
And we are. It's cool.
Yeah.
So, but here's what happened. So my husband moved to Alaska, which is cool. It's fine. He's living his dream. We're still together, but I had the opportunity to go to Denali because he lives in Alaska. So we went to Fairbanks in March, and we went to Denali National Park, and what we saw was actually the Northern Lights.
Amazing. What an experience.
Put it on your bucket list. If you ever get the opportunity, throw it on your bucket list. It is one of the most amazing experiences you'll ever have because it makes you feel part of this earth.
I was going to say part of the universe.
Does.
It's just mind-blowing.
It is.
From what I understand.
And life-changing. I will say I sat up there. I did shed some tears. It was for me a really just such just a light one of those
otherworldly experience.
One of those moments where I was like, this is sort of a defining kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had gotten this yarn from one of my favorite dyers, also yours.
Oh yes,
right?
yes.
So this is for
one
Baby
of my
Fiber.
favorite colors.
We can still get her.
Time. Yes.
She's amazing. I absolutely adore her.
Her sparkle is like none other.
It is off the charts. So I had gotten this in one of her monthly boxes, and it is called Denali National Park, right? It was her Wanderlust.
Amazing.
And this has all the colors that sort of in the winter Northern Lights you're going to find. It is a stunning skein. So of course I was hoarding it for a special project because
That's
right?
what we do.
And if you know, you know.
And how many skeins did you
I
have?
had gotten 2.
Okay.
I got 2. So I've been hoarding it. I put it with another set. I was like, oh, it would go, but I was like,
is it going to be a shawl?
Right.
What's it going to be?
And I was like, it needs to be its own thing.
It's stunning.
So then I had to go shopping.
She had to go shopping. I mean, that's something that we do quite frequently. Me more than knitting.
So my daughter got a job. She needed good shoes. We decided on Doc Martens. Long story, but that was it.
And we are very lucky that a Doc Marten store is in Georgetown, which is not that far from us.
Right.
Yes.
We had a phenomenal salesperson.
Yes.
And they suggested, well, then we got to chit-chatting, and they had a child, and they said, oh my gosh, we have one that is bugs and glow in the dark, and it has these teals colors.
And she didn't tell you the real thing. She has a little tiny foot.
Okay. So she said, but they only got them in the kids version. We don't have them in the store, but we only got them in the kids version. I wish they'd make them in adults. Well, I wear like a size 5.5.
Yeah,
so of course
I
can
10.
wear
it's not happening.
Kids.
I'm so jealous.
Right. So I got the shoes because they were also on sale. Okay.
Yes.
So I did not pay an enormous amount for these. So I ordered them, and then I was like, but do you see? Right,
perfection.
You see, right?
It's like the match. They were made for each other.
They were. Okay, so then I was like, you know what I love to knit more than anything? And you'll see, I knit shorts, I knit pants, I knit dresses.
She knits everything.
I'm the
lace, brioche, intarsia.
But I think there's nothing in your wardrobe you can't knit if you want to.
That's true if you're highly motivated.
Yes. So I decided I needed a sweater dress because what would go better with the Doc Martens in the winter fall than a sweater dress, right?
That pair of tights, sweater dress.
So this is the dress. So I finished it because I'm going to take it to Alaska.
Whoa.
What?
It's beautiful. It's so pretty.
Do you guys want to see me?
Yeah,
I'm just going to put it on.
Absolutely put it on. And it is made mainly, this is a sport weight, but the rest of the yarn is DK, correct?
Correct. It is a DK. It is
so it's got some weight to it.
Stripe Hype sweater.
I love it. It goes right above. Can you guys see?
I mean, you can't see the whole thing. I'll post pictures later, but
you all, it's stunning. It looks better on camera. No, it looks better in person.
Here's the thing, it doesn't pull. I have a booty.
No,
it doesn't.
You can bend over, and
it's long enough.
But it's not like old. I'm not gonna say old lady because
it doesn't
I am an old lady. But it doesn't look like you're wearing a paper bag either.
Right. It's got some shape to it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how excited I am. The
And I
sleeves
love the sleeves ribbed.
were a whole, yes, I'm going to make this again. I have another yarn to make another one.
Beautiful.
In different colors.
With the same amount of colors? Because how many colors
Yes.
did you use in this?
7,
Oh
I
my
think.
goodness.
1,
It is
2,
stunning.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.
Wow.
So the next one I make, I'll not make the arm holes so deep. Anyway, sometimes you have to make it once the first time. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's knee length. It's super comfortable. I'm so excited. But this is my most recent. But this is what happens. Like you get inspired certain ways.
Yes.
The stripe hype dress, which I actually even have. No, I don't have a pattern. It's over at the other side. But this is the stripe hype dress. I have added short rows to the back neck because for me,
You wanted it to come up.
I feel like it just fits me better, right? So that's
Right.
a total personal preference. I will normally, if they don't have short rows,
Just
add
add them
short
in.
rows.
Now,
So
the other thing is like the pain sweater that I'm wearing that I've made multiple times, short sleeve, long sleeve, ruffles on this one. It has the short rows, so I made it with short rows, without short rows. I have not yet done, it comes with directions, and it's PAYNE, by the way. I have not done the bust darts, and you said that you were doing something with bust darts.
I think when I first started knitting, right,
Yes.
and I've been knitting probably 12 years.
You're like a master. Yeah.
I don't know, but I've knit a lot. When I started knitting, I didn't know you don't know what you don't know,
Right.
right? And so for me, the way I am shaped, boat necks look awful. Like they just there's.
That's your perception of it, and you need to make things that make you feel
Correct.
good. Yes.
I just feel like it cuts me in a weird way. I don't like things that sort of sit at my neck. So anyway, so in order to get around that, I've realized that for me, adding short rows and just bringing that back neck up really does make things fit and it more flattering, and I feel more comfortable.
That's the main thing. You feel more comfortable, and you want to feel beautiful in what you make
Yeah.
because you do spend so much time.
You do,
making
hours.
It. Yeah.
So with that said, there are also patterns that are a little close fitting, or like in my case, cardigans. I struggle with cardigans because as a woman, and I'm going to stand up and show you, there is more real estate in the front than there is in the back. Like that's just the way it kind of goes, right?
Well, you were blessed.
As reviewed my
I was too. I was really blessed.
right? More blessed than me.
Yes.
So, but when we add fabric, then it tends to like gap in the back.
And doesn't look like it's laying right.
It
It looks
doesn't.
ill-fitting. And for as much time as you're spending
Right.
doing this, yeah.
Or there's too much fabric here, and even if you're going to try and bring it around, it just doesn't lay right. So the other thing that designers are now starting to do, which I am super excited about, is adding bust darts. This was the first pattern, the Pain,
Yeah.
and it is by Helena Barstow, who
It's
owns Oink
fantastic.
Pimp, one of the
Oink
owners
Pigments.
of Oink Pigments, because I think there's a couple.
Yeah.
But she really does understand design. She doesn't put out a ton of patterns, so the ones that she does put out are really well done, well tested,
Very
well written.
thoughtful.
Yes.
Very thoughtful.
This one is a blank canvas. I think we've both made this 4 times each. Maybe you've made it an
It was
additional
like
time.
there was a time when if I didn't have a pain on my needles, was I even really knitting? Because
It's like a
it was
potato
just,
chip pattern.
yes, it was fantastic, and I always did the yarn overs to kind of give like an opening work here because again, it wasn't that I couldn't do a make one left, make one right. It was I was afraid that I would mess it up, and I loved the yarn so much I didn't want to do it. Of course, now with the Hohi one, I have to. And by the way, it's not that difficult. I did watch Very Pink Knits
I
video
love her.
on how to do it. And I'm like, why did I resist all this time? Again, it's not difficult. It's just new.
Right.
And just getting through it and going through it. So, I mean, you can learn to do anything. But the bust darts, I think my next pain, I do have some Kim Dye's yarn.
Oh.
In DK, and I have 5 skeins because ABSQ always buys sweater quantities, and I'm like, ooh, that would be lovely because it's probably only 4, so I'm good.
Yeah, and I've not added the bust darts to the Pain. I actually just like the way it fits normally, but
Right.
I've recommended to other people. They love it. So I am currently working on a pattern for the store.
This is exciting.
That is called the Friendship Pullover. It should be our pattern.
It should say Jamie and her friends.
Jamie and Kimberly knit this together. So we have several friendship scarves. Here it is.
Yes,
okay.
we do. Oh,
it is by Amy Scher, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. But it's amyschermakes.com. It's called the Friendship Pullover. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that.
There's beautiful cabling.
It's just like really got gorgeous cabling up the front and kind of a deep neck, like a turtleneck fold over. So, but one of the things she adds, which I really am down to try, is bust darts. And she gives you all of the ways to figure out which particular dart you're going to use, or not at all, right? And she tells you how many inches it adds to the front. It's incredibly well written, very size inclusive. So,
and the good thing is you have done so many designers through the years that you have read so many different ways of writing a pattern that actually when you and Katie write your patterns, they're actually very easy to understand, I think.
I am one of those that love stockinette, right? I love a good stockinette pattern, but with like a little flair, not flair just to be flair. You all know the designers you've used and you're like, why did we go with that design element?
Right.
Ask me, I can probably tell you. And sometimes it's for the sake of making something different. I am always like, why reinvent the wheel? But maybe we add a small detail. You can leave it off, but maybe it elevates it. Right. So anyway, so I'm excited to kind of try this and sort of see how I like making something that fits my
Well, it's interesting because it's going to have that center panel, but also bust darts.
Correct.
So that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And also then that way, is it my understanding there is nothing on the back, it's plain?
Correct.
So you always know what is the front and what is the back, because if you don't do short rows and stuff, sometimes if you don't put a little tag or you have woven in your ends so well, you can't see that. Sometimes I go, wait a minute, which is the front, which is the back?
And so the other nice thing is there's a lot of designers, especially when you're doing something that you sort of need to fit a certain way, right? And those are why those designers make them boxy and cropped, right? Because if I'm building in 10 inches of ease, it does not matter if you have my bust size or your bust size.
Right, we could wear the same sweater. It just will have less ease on me than it does on you because we're not the same size. So,
but that way we're really allowing for the bigger bust without taking away the shaping. So you're just building your sweater. Don't worry about the bust. It's totally fine. Right. This allows you to get that sort of boxy feel with a more fitted garment, and the bust darts give you just that much more fabric because I don't always want it on the back.
Correct. Now my question is, what yarn are you using? Because it looks delicious.
So I am using the Lannis. So it's Barocco. Movement. It does. It is, so Lannis is a non-superwash wool.
It's very affordable, yes.
It is extremely affordable. It's by Barocco. You can make a whole sweater. I am a size 40. I will always be upfront about that. My hips or my tummy are more of like a 44, so I will usually find something in between that makes it happy.
Right.
And as we go through, we'll talk all about those things.
Measurements, all that stuff.
Measurements are fun. I just want to say this. Measurements are never a judgment of who you are. It is just information to get something to fit.
Just a number.
And I will harp on that and die on that sword. So I think there's no shame in figuring out what your measurements are. It's just a tool to use so that you can make a garment that fits you. And why would you spend 60 hours knitting a sweater that's not going to fit because you haven't taken the time to figure out the number?
Right.
Anyway, or now, let the number judge you.
You know, I don't know if everyone's been watching, and if they haven't on Instagram, Autumn Goodman is doing a thing about size inclusive designers, and she goes all the way from the very small to a bigger number, and it has to have so much ease, and it goes through. So you could follow her. It's I believe size inclusive designers. She has a whole spreadsheet, and I believe there's over 500 designers, and she highlights different patterns. So that's a note if you want to check that out. I've been following her for a long time. She's a pretty amazing person.
And I think it goes both ways, right? In the same way that it's struggling for me to find shoes that are like mature, that are small enough, right? I feel like we need to make designs not only inclusive to smaller people, like a 32 bust, that are not child's, right? They're not written for a child. They have waist shaping. They have all the things that an adult sweater needs, right?
Yeah.
But also up to a size 70.
And then, you know, you have that issue, and I have the issue of size 10 foot, and I would really like those Doc Martens, like really, really want them. And I think for me, I don't know for everyone, but I can say like there's always that inner 5-year-old who wants all the glitter and all the pizzazz and is like, what do you mean I can't get those in my size? So it's really nice to have the designs, because you can do sparkle yarn, you can do whatever you want, but there's quite a selection, and it's also to keeping the designers accountable. Like you as a designer need to design for more than one body shape, not just for yourself. If you're commercially putting out a pattern, it needs to be accessible to everyone.
Because I could easily just put out a pattern, because I always knit it in my size, right? Because usually I design differently. I don't throw it on paper, figure out the numbers, and then throw it out for testing. I actually design in my brain and knit it while I'm designing it, take really horrific notes, work with my partner Katie, who calls me and she's like, Jaime, what the heck was that all about? I was like, let's talk about it. I'm not really sure. So it is a process, but normally I'm just knitting from my head. And so then it holds me accountable to make sure that it is a design that can be graded.
And that is a good thing too, that J&K Lost in the Woods has 2 designers. So the combination 100%. Of you two coming together is fantastic, because you're looking at it from different angles.
And different body shapes.
And different likes, dislikes, different things. So you talk it through and can promote a pattern that is amazing. I mean,
and I will say Kimberly's the unofficial third.
Yeah, well, I just
so she holds us accountable, and
that's what the friends do, right? They call you out on your stuff and go like, "What were you thinking?" Like, well, I'm not gonna.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. I don't know, but this is gonna be gorgeous.
I am excited. I am taking this with me.
You're going to Alaska next week.
So this should be a really pretty straightforward knit.
Lots of cabling.
It's the cable up the front, so it's like 49 stitches all the way up the front, and the rest is stockinette, so I could probably be engaged with that.
Now, are you going to use a cable needle?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, props to those people who can knit without a cable needle. I am not one of those people. This yarn would actually lend itself really well.
Because it has a memory?
It's grippy. It's a non-superwash. It's grippy. It doesn't want to fall down or like ladder back. But it's a 3x3 cable, and that just 1x1 I will usually do without a cable needle, but not
3x3.
No.
Well, it's exciting that you're doing other people's patterns too, because let's talk about your pattern with Katie's pattern in the sock that you designed. That's actually in a publication, because you guys are amazing. So let's talk about that. What's going on?
Okay, so Life in the Long Grass, who is a dyer in Ireland.
That's so cool.
We submitted a pattern. We got accepted.
Yay!
So for those of you who, because I actually would have loved this information, for those of you who are thinking about designing, getting your design published through a publication, right? Not self-design, but through a publication.
Not just on Ravelry.
Right. It usually is like a year process.
It's not instant. Well, because they have to curate all the patterns, and then they have to lay them out and go to publication.
So it's a process. But anyway, so one day last year, this is the pattern. It's called the Stag Slipper Sock, right?
Very cute.
And it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I have this idea. I really wanted a houndstooth sock. I wanted it like a castle in Scotland sock that sort of was like, you've been out hiking all day, you've come back to the castle, I'm not a drinker.
Like Monarch of the Glen. Did you ever see that series? Oh my God,
so you're like sitting in front of this fire in this castle, sipping your brandy or wine.
Or you're just in Rockville, Maryland, wearing the socks. I mean,
either way, right?
Yeah.
So this was my dream vision.
It's beautiful.
And so I was like, oh, what if we did Houndstooth, which is quintessentially Scotland for me?
Yes.
And then we put a little stag's head because also Scotland. And I was like, that needs to be a sock. So I knit it up and knit a pair and figured out the design elements, which is harder than you think.
And this is where it pays to have friends, because actually my oldest son tried on a sock.
So I was knitting the men's size, and I do not have a man right here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is enormous. I've totally messed up this pattern. Oh my God. So yes, he has a larger men's size. Not large, but like a normal men's size.
He's
right?
a normal size, yeah.
It's not like a size 13 or something.
Right.
So I was like, oh, would he just try this sock for
And
me?
he did.
And he did, and it fit perfectly. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is the men's size, like sound.
Yes. This
So
works,
super
because
excited.
sometimes on paper you need to see it actually on to see if you need to tweak it too.
Right.
Like, is it actually high enough up, or is it like a shorty sock and it's supposed to be a crew sock? Yeah.
Right. So that was really exciting. It has been published. It's Life in the Long Grass. It is their book. It is, I believe, called Into the Woods. I don't have my copy yet.
It's newly published.
Yeah, it only published like 2 weeks ago. Shipping takes a hot minute to get here. I will share it as soon as it gets here. But it is their issue number 7.
Very nice.
So you can order it online from her, Life in the Long Grass. But anyway, this is what the sock looks like.
This slipper sock.
Did you notice?
It goes.
It matches the dress.
So guess who's going to be wearing that together too with her Doc Martens?
Yes, I am. So, actually not with the Doc Martens, because the Doc Martens kid size, I need to wear like tights. They're skosh.
Because they're not as wide.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are going to have to be worn with black boots with the dress, but nonetheless, I can dress them up and dress them down. And anyway.
You know, speaking of Doc Martens, I'd seen someone had taken a pair of Doc Marten Chelsea boots, and in the area that they have the elastic, they had actually embroidered sunflowers for fall.
Really?
And I said, ooh, that's a way, because you could paint them, you could paint things on them with the leather paint, but the paint might chip off, and then that would make you upset, like you'd invested the money in it. But I'm like, ooh, embroidery.
You know what I have downstairs? They're not Doc Martens. They're another lovely brand we'll talk about.
Oh, yes.
But I have a pair of Chelsea boots.
You could maybe do that.
I'd always wanted Chelsea boots.
Yeah.
I also need to move to a climate where
you could wear them more. Yeah. Well, I mean,
menopause is great fun, and you know what it gives you? Hot all the time. So we live in a climate that it's currently like 90 degrees. It's September. I just want to remind people for when you watch this in
it's
December.
only like 70 now.
She lies. It's like 85.
It'll be 85 today, but we're doing morning.
And then I'm like shorts and t-shirt all the time. Anyway.
Tank tops. Put your air conditioning on.
I just want to live in a climate where it's cold all the time. That's my goal. Listen, you guys make us TikTok famous.
Yes.
And I will move to a climate where it is cold.
And then she won't complain about it.
And I won't complain about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to hear Jaime not complain, then that's what you should do. Just make us TikTok
We'll start
famous.
a GoFundMe.
No. We just have everyone share. So everyone just share this video because it's fun. It's funny.
It is. We are funny.
You know what's really funny? Let's talk about it.
Okay, so we started this sweater a year ago.
Yeah, it was last year.
You guys can look it up. So it is Stephen West. Stephen is one of my heroes.
He's amazing. We have both met him in person. And I love that he spells his name PH, because my brother Stephen is also a PH. So there is like a thing on how do you spell Stephen. So.
And from designer to designer, I'm just going to say this. He is like what I imagine another artist would look at, like Picasso, and go, like, you just look at the world differently in a really admirable way.
Yes.
But I don't know how or why, and I don't even question it. It doesn't matter. It's amazing. His brain works super differently, and he comes up with the most amazing designs. If you've ever been intimidated by one of his designs, please don't be, because here's what I'm going to tell you. I've knit a whole bunch of his designs for the store. because that's what I do. I do all the samples and such and teach.
Although I do want to do that enchanted mesa sweater because it goes off to the side.
Yes. And I know somebody who's made it, right?
Yes, and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It looks intimidating. The end product looks really hard, like you did a whole bunch. It is not hard at all. He makes things incredibly approachable. He has videos for everything. It is just the combination of the stitches that gives you this stunning end product.
Yeah.
But it is very, very approachable. And I've had very new knitters knit some of his projects, and with a little bit of guidance, it's magnificent.
And he has, like, you can go neon, you can go more conservative, and you can see Jaime and I are doing the same sweater. Well, we're at different stopping points, and I don't know, brain fart or something for me. And the sweaters look completely different just because of how we interpreted what he said and what yarns we wanted to showcase. And again, in this one, I'm actually using a yarn that I bought on our very first Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival.
Yes.
Which was quite a few years ago that I was saving for that perfect thing. So we'll talk more about that later, but you never know when you're going to use what you're going to use.
That's
and
right.
Thank goodness over the last 7 years, my tastes are still the same and I still like this color. So
show
buy
us,
what
show
you
us,
love.
show us.
Okay, guys, so this is my Garter Marler cardigan.
Which is stunning.
And this sparkle green, hunter green mohair is going to be all of my ribbing, and it's actually gorgeous.
It's got this great texture to it.
It's so fun. However, and some of my yarn is sparkle and some of my yarn is not sparkle. However, you can see I have my sleeves on needles. Yeah, I have no sleeves. I have a really long cardigan. It's pretty long. It's not blocked. I was actually going to wear this for last Halloween and be the bride of Frankenstein because, you know, Frankenstein.
But we still have time to finish it for this Halloween.
Yes. So I did a pattern in my striping where I did like 6 rows and 12 rows and 24 rows or something. I don't know. I have it all written down, of course. Thank goodness. Take good notes, right? Because it's been a year.
Take
That's
notes
true.
that you should take good notes, because do I?
No.
Should
and
I?
then you're like, what the heck did I do?
Yeah, all the time.
So anyway, I said to Jaime, I'm going to bring this because I'd really like to put my sleeves on it so I can wear it. And I don't really like to do long sleeves. That's my thing. I don't like 3/4.
Yeah.
I like
short sleeve.
Yeah. Jaime likes short sleeves, and I think I have long arms too. I mean,
So I have tiny T-Rex arms.
Yeah. She has smaller arms.
I do, and I didn't realize that until I was finishing things for me that were long sleeve, right? And then I would take it to the store, and I'm like, oh, try it on, you know, whatever. And it would be 3/4 on other people, and I was like, oh, my arms are really short. And I think for me, the reason I don't like long sleeves, it's sort of a backlash for growing up small, short, only 5 foot, 5'1" on a really good day.
If she's wearing her docs.
If I'm wearing my docs. And everything was always so long in the arms. I was constantly pulling them up. Well, it stretches out so it doesn't
too, when
stay.
you were in the kitchen
Right.
cooking, you're like putting
I mean, like
your-
everything's rolled up. You're washing dishes. Everything's, your sleeves and everything. So for me, it's a complete backlash to that. And so I really prefer 3/4 sort of at best.
Yeah.
But
and I'm gonna do long ones. So let's see your garter
okay, so
marler.
I'm a little farther along. This is for me. So you've done yours in like a curated color palette.
Yes, I use specific yarn. And I actually ran out of. I had also bought this green and gray that's variegated, and the gray to go with the Hunter Sparkle from the first Maryland Sheep and Wool. However, I did not have enough of the gray, solid gray. But I found one that was complimentary, and that's why I go to your local yarn store, because I found one that was very close, and it's going to be on the sleeves, so you're not going to really notice. I could have been weighing stuff and been more precise. However, I was just going with the flow. That's what I'm kind of like, seat of my pants. Like, let's see.
I think we both are.
Yeah, like, womp womp, we'll make it work, whatever.
We'll
we do have a solution, but... Let's see, yours is like so cool.
So for me, this is, I picked a color palette, and you'll hear me.
Because he had a whole bunch of different ones.
He does, okay. So, and I've not seen one I didn't like. And we did this as a knit along in the store. I've not seen one I didn't like. But my brain doesn't like the whole pull it from the bag, throw it together. No, I can't handle that.
Right.
So for me, I took a color palette, which was fall, and laid out a bunch of my scraps from previous projects. I used all DK, although his is fingering held double.
That's what I did.
So I did DK
Mm-hmm.
and pulled all of fall palette, and then I rolled a dice.
Yes.
And so whatever
That's so
the
fun.
stripe was, so if I rolled a 6, I was doing 12 garter bumps. If I rolled a 2, then it was 4 garter bumps. And I gave myself a little play. If I just rolled a 2, I could roll again. So for me, that's
How
what
cool
I did.
is that though?
And I was gonna make it really long, and then I got bored. So
Well, because
Anyway.
you think you're more of a process versus a product.
oh, I'm
knitter.
100% a process knitter. Once the dopamine wears off of the new process and the fun part, that's how I end up
See,
with
you
an
even
extra
have your
suit.
ribbing. I have no ribbing.
I did do solid ribbing, and then I've left this. So garter grows far more than stockinette, right? Is the nature of the stitches and the way they sort of seat together. So what I've done is I left it on a holder to sort of see how long it was. Am I really ready for ribbing or not? That's one of the tips.
Because you don't want to take out ribbing. I mean, you could,
No.
but it's kind of a pain.
Right, and I don't want it too long. Like
right,
that was
right.
the other thing.
Yeah, because
so
you don't want super long sleeves.
for me, I just need the second sleeve. And honestly,
So let's say by Halloween we get these done.
let's do that.
That's
Like
a
the
goal.
crap part of it is I already have the sleeve, so I already even know the colors, the quantity, the whole 9 yards.
And mine I know because it's a pattern.
Right.
And I actually wrote it down.
And have I done that? No. So
Yeah.
it
me
just
neither.
is a matter of like sitting down and getting it done and not getting distracted with.
Are you gonna
the
put
dress.
buttons on yours?
No, I am also not okay because my bust and my waist are about 4 inches difference.
Yeah.
Um,
No buttons.
If I make it to fit my bust, it doesn't fit my waist. If I make it to fit my waist, it doesn't fit my bust. It's too baggy. So I generally do not. I don't love cardigans because I don't feel like they fit me really well. That's just me. And so when I do make a cardigan, I just never add buttons. If I was gonna, because I'll never button it. What I will suggest to people.
Yeah.
If you really want the look of buttons,
Just sew them on.
don't worry about adding the button holes. If you're like, well, I need it to look like a finished cardigan, just sew on the buttons.
You can
and
also
don't
do
worry
like
about
one button here,
You
like
could.
a brooch or something.
But then for me, it adds this triangle thing, and I'm like, oh, and again, it's a mind thing. It's not that it's a reality. It just, I feel
It's
like it
what you want.
accentuates.
Yeah. I, of course, love to shop, if you don't know that about me.
Yes.
And I love to shop for buttons. So I have the most killer buttons for this that are green mother of the pearl. They're vintage. They are stunning. So they will be on this sweater. Whether or not I button it or not, I don't know. I'm probably going to do like a 2-inch button placket on it. I've lost some weight since I started this last year, but I still think oversized is fine because it's just a cardigan.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make any modifications or try and pull it in. But the most important thing is we wanted to say thank you all for watching and
Thank you
spending this time with us,
Joining
whether
us
it's morning,
on our inaugural.
afternoon.
I know, I'm so excited. This
I'm
is
so
something we've
excited.
chit-chatted about for a really long time. So to throw it out there, join
Put
us
it
on our
out in the
journey.
universe, yeah, and see if you agree, disagree, whatever. We're open to everything, and we just want to say thank you all. Next time is going to be those special skeins. Let's talk.
Yes,
about them.
so bring your special skein. Let's talk
Yes.
about it, and let's talk about some projects. We'll have some ideas. So.
Yeah, we'll have some ideas and fun. So we want to say thank you all so much,
Thank
and
you.
have a fantastic day, whatever you do, and hopefully you find some time to create some joy in your life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.